Well, look, we're going to just pick up a story here. There's been a lot of clamour in my inbox in the last few days, and on Twitter, actually, lots of people getting at me on Twitter about how we really need to cover this story, right?
Yes.
So American truckers have joined a convoy started by Canadian truckers protesting a vaccine mandate.
Yes, the Freedom Convoy stretches for 45 miles and is about to descend on the province of Ottawa. A mandatory vaccine requirement for Canadian truckers arriving in the US came into force on January 15th, but as many as 1 in 5 are not vaccinated.
I think it's a really interesting one, that, actually, because Justin Trudeau, even I think it was yesterday, tweeted, so I've just found out I've been exposed to coronavirus and I've got no symptoms, I've tested negative, but in accordance with Ottawa laws or rules, I am now going to self-isolate for 5 days, this, that and the other. And I think a lot of people now are thinking, well, hang on a minute, if you're taking the very softest approach, he's already stood up publicly and said, well, basically, you won't be able to go on and live your normal lives if you don't get a vaccine. You know, I think people have got a massive problem with that. How many people can he turn himself against? Because for me, one of the main ways that he operates is to go, well, these people are all idiots who disagree with me. Well, there's a lot of them.
Well, I mean, I think some sociologists and PhD researchers really need to examine what's been going on in Canada, Australia and New Zealand, because I can't believe it. They are just, at least in my opinion, going off the deep end. And I even saw a development in one of the provinces in Canada where anyone over 12, so as young as 12, who are not vaccinated, cannot go anywhere, and they can only go into pharmacies and grocery stores with an escort.
It's just wild.
It is really over 12, so 12-year-olds. Again, it's segregation, it's bullying, it's stigmatization, it's purity politics. What are they thinking? We're talking about Partygate, but you really have to put things into perspective when you see what's going on in some of these other so-called liberal countries, at least. We were going
to rattle through another couple of stories, but we're going to the bulletins very shortly. So I'd just like to stick on with this one, actually, because as you said, look at New Zealand now. Supposedly, this very liberal country. They're banning cigarettes. Right?
It's changed my view of them fundamentally.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Not allowing their own citizens to go back home. Canada, as you rightly pointed out, has done a lot of pretty restrictive, I can argue, draconian, totalitarian type stuff, right? And then Australia as well. We all know about what's going on in Australia. Now, hey, each to their own. If you are watching this and you think that someone who's not had a vaccine is an idiot, you're perfectly entitled to that view. But do they deserve to have a lot of their rights and freedoms curtailed? Do they deserve, as an entire nation, to not be able to go back and see their own relatives?
Well, one thing I think 5%, something like 5% of people will just not get a vaccine. There's just nothing that you can do. You can pressure them, you can constrain them, and we're just going to have to accept that. I think 95% is a pretty solid rate for any society, to be honest.
Well, I'm inclined to agree, but keep your thoughts coming in to us on email, gbviews@gbnews.uk.